What up, what up, what up, what up? It's your boy P. Skip. Welcome to the best half hour of your entire Tuesday. You know what time it is. It's time to get into his court. My squad with the T-Mac.
Hola.
Chili Will.
Gracias, amigo.
Let's do this. Proverbs 22 and 28 in the New King James says this. Do not remove the ancient landmarks which your fathers have set. Now, I'm saying ancient landmarks because, once again, the Lakers, or like what I like to call them is Geriatric Park, has just added DeAndre Jordan to the squad. You know, I'm looking at this, I'm going, you guys are getting older and older and older. And don't get me wrong. LeBron maybe at this point in his life feels like I'd rather be running this team with some old schoolers that get it and may know how to win versus some young cats I got to train. But I'm looking at this and I'm going, what y'all going to do in 2 years? What y'all going to do next year for that matter? You know, and so what do you think about the addition of DeAndre Jordan?
I guess I'll go first. Number one, Pastor Skip. With all due respect, the Lakers got younger with the addition of DeAndre Jordan because they got rid of an older pal, Gasol. All right. Am I right, Tim? Am I right?
Yeah, actually, it's Marc Gasol.
Marc Gasol. Yeah, Marc
Yes, sir.
Gasol.
You are correct.
All right. I got an amen on that one.
Yes,
so
sir.
they got younger. They got younger with the addition of DeAndre Jordan. And I said this on the last show, and I'll say it again. The key to the Lakers' success is the brow has to be the best player on the team. If he is not the best player on the team, they will not be successful. But if he is, look out.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I would have to agree. I mean, I don't even know that he has to be the best player on the team. If he can just reach some of the bubble status that he played, if he can give him, a 25 and 10 to 12 boards and stay healthy, I think the Lakers are still solid. I mean, even those times that they didn't get to the finals, it's only because of injuries, both last year, and when LeBron first got there, that kept them from going to the playoffs or deep in the playoffs. So them being older, LeBron, I think, is the difference maker. He now can use even more of his brain on the court as opposed to his athleticism, and him being, kind of the point guard and knowing all the plays and just really being cerebral. They're going to have that covered. As far as I'm concerned, the Lakers' biggest challenge is going to be the injuries. Those guys he brought to the team, I'm sure they've had some, conversations over some steak dinners. They done kicked it. And they've talked about, hey, man, this ain't necessarily personal. This is all business. You've been wanting to get a chip, Russell Westbrook, and some of you others, come over to the squad. Let me show you how it's done. The reason why you haven't been able to do it before is because you weren't playing with the consummate professional. You're playing with the consummate professional now. You're on arguably the biggest stage, next to the New York Knicks in the league. We're in LA. What do you need? All I need from you is to stay healthy. I might even let you peep some of my exercise regimen and all that kind of stuff. Help you buy a hyperbolic chamber or whatever that chamber a joker sit in and all that kind of stuff. All you have to do is get on the court and produce. I've been doing the heavy lifting since I've been in the league. I can do that more now. I've evolved my game. We just need pieces. If everybody can just do their piece, we're going to be all good because nobody has to be overloaded because we're all doing pieces here. We can have a situation where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And because people keep talking slick about our age and all that, we got Tom Brady, 44 years old, winning championships. So they can talk all they want to. If you can stay healthy and produce, we'll get the last laugh. So for me, I think that if they can stay healthy, the Lakers are probably going to be the team to beat in the NBA this year.
And just let me add to that. DeAndre Jordan was a huge pickup because he doesn't need the ball. And he's a great defender. And he's a great rebounder. And he still has a lot of bounce left in him. Over Pau Gasol. Pau Gasol didn't get him, Marc Gasol, I'm sorry. Marc Gasol didn't give them anything last year. So if they with with DeAndre Jordan, that's an upgrade. That's a little younger, a little more athletic, and somebody that doesn't necessarily need the ball.
Yeah, and all he has to do, just like Dwight Howard, just plug the middle and stop other jokers from coming in there trying to do what they want to do. And when they do come in there, touch them up a little bit, make them think twice about wanting to come on in here amongst these trees.
Yeah, I like to pick up a DeAndre Jordan. I think it's great, and I think it makes the geriatric team, as you call them, Pastor, better, bigger contender than what they were before.
You know what? Instead of the Lakers, maybe we'll call them the last leggers. The last leg.
That ain't funny, man. Even though I'm laughing, that ain't funny, man.
Hey, speaking of the Lakers, man, I don't know if you guys know, but recently Paul Pierce got released from ESPN. I don't know if they came to a mutual amicable agreement, but they released him because of a video got out of him hanging out in the strip club and smoking weed. And I'm like, okay. Like you didn't know these cats did this stuff. Like you didn't know that these ballers did this. You know, he ain't beating up his wife. He ain't stealing nothing. You just don't like how that looks on the Disney brand, is what I'm thinking. But one of the things Paul Pierce said is, he said he had gotten to a place where he was tired of how ESPN was censoring him and how they made him talk about LeBron every show. He said, they make us talk about LeBron. And I'm like, okay, there has to be more to the story than just that. And not to mention, he's going into the Hall of Fame this year. Chris Bosh,
Ben Wallace,
and Weber, Chris Webber.
And Chris Webber.
Yeah, that I know of.
Yeah.
But so you get rid of a Hall of Famer because of stuff he did away from the court, away from the office, away from the camera, or away from the show. That still constitutes you going, yeah, I'm good. I don't need him. What do y'all think about that?
Tim, I'll go after you.
Okay.
Go ahead, Tim.
I think it's unfortunate, for him to lose a gig like that. In some of the aftermath of it, he doesn't necessarily seem to be that pressed about it. As you mentioned, he's a Hall of Famer. Didn't like some of the things that you have to do, but that's kind of conformity in par for the course. Anytime you're working in an environment where your name ain't on the marquee, there's going to be some adjustments you're going to have to do because somebody else is signing the checks other than you. Now, it seems like he wasn't necessarily trying to leave until this situation came about. And now that he got kicked to the curb, it's like, okay, well, whatever. I ain't really all that pressed anyway. So I think it's neither here nor there. I don't know that people were necessarily watching ESPN because Paul Pierce was there. As a matter of fact, when he first came on, he was a little bit rough around the edges and took a little bit of getting used to from a commentator, perspective. As a player, hey, he was the truth going back to Kansas and his career, with Boston. And, he has the championship as well. So there's no question about his bona fides as a ball player. But commentator, because, they're almost a dime a dozen, you have a lot of turnover there. And unless you are a personality that can really kind of, engage the crowd and, be an outsized type of, dynamic person, a la, let's say, a Tim McMurtry, you might not get a chance, to really, really shine. So I think for Paul Pierce, this is kind of a, not that big of a deal. Will we miss him on the show? I don't know. And anybody that's living, whether you are a celebrity or not, you want to be able to live your life in such a way where you don't have to always be walking on eggshells. So if he want to go out to the club, want to get with the honeys, want to do his thing, do that. You know what I'm saying? And if the organization is saying, well, hey, because it went public, bruh, we don't mind you doing your stuff in private, but once it comes public, it might impact us. And given that we might have a clause in this that says you serve at the pleasure of, similar to individuals that work for elected officials, you're not the elected official. You serve at the pleasure of that elected official. And if you do some stuff in your private life that might have potential to bring some bad bearing on the look of the elected official, that could cost you your gig. In this case, it seems like that's what happened with Paul Pierce. I don't think he's going to be pressed about it. I don't think the fans that watch ESPN are going to be pressed about it either, with him not being there, personally.
Well, I agree with you 100%. First of all, I didn't think he was good at it at all. I thought, as a matter of fact, I thought he was terrible at it. One of the reasons why I thought he wasn't good at it, because everything was about Paul Pierce. He always wanted to compare himself. He always wanted to act like, if somebody else got some shine, what about my shine? I thought he was a little too sensitive and too selfish about his approach to it. And some of the stuff that he said was, just like way off the wall about different stuff. So I really didn't enjoy watching him do the show. I didn't like watching him. I didn't like Chris Webber, but I'm just one person. I agree with you, Tim. Those type of people are a dime a dozen now. And being a good commentator has nothing to do with hitting a three-pointer or a turnaround jump shot at the buzzer. It's two whole different skill sets, two whole different values. So when he did what he did, and plus he wasn't no big market guy. Everybody wasn't watching the game because Paul Pierce, or watching the show because Paul Pierce was doing it. I think that just gave them a legitimate reason to say, you know what, man, this ain't working out. You bring in negativity, we can part ways. The other thing I'd have to say, though, that's disappointing to me, is that it's a level of maturity that goes with this stuff. And at some point, you have to, some of this stuff you got to, have your feel on it. Right. We all, used to ride bikes and, and turn noonies and, play in the mud. But at some point you mature where, some things is just not becoming of a person of your stature or your age. And some people take longer to get out of that phase of their life than others. And I think this particular case, it caught up with him and got the best of him. So Paul Pierce is going to be fine. He's a seriously wealthy individual. He's a basketball Hall of Famer. He has everything in the world going for him. Trust me, he ain't going to the poorhouse because he's not working at ESPN. So, this was something they tried. It didn't work. They go their separate ways and life goes on.
Yeah, I would agree with both you and Tim in the fact that Paul Pierce wasn't a major piece in what ESPN was doing. For the most part, he was marginable as a commentator at best. A lot of times what he said was suspect. Like you said, Will, he was sensitive on a lot of stuff. And some of the stuff, I'm like, what are you talking about? And there was a bias that he had with some people and with Boston. But for me, I looked at him and said, are you honing your craft that you became a commentator that they couldn't get rid of? Obviously not. Obviously, you wasn't getting so good that they could get rid of you. And so when they saw that, they did. They saw, well, he's very expendable. We can get somebody else in here. We can get an average Chris Bosh in here or whatever, But so I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know what he's going to do. But, speaking of ESPN, I don't know if you guys also know that Stephen A. Smith, the host of First Take, just got Max Kellerman, his co-host, released. And his reasons for that, he's like, Max can't take me to the next level, so I need to freshen this up, get some new blood in here, and take it to the next level. So Max Kellerman has been released from ESPN's First Take show. His last show was Monday. So I don't know who they're replacing him with. I don't know, but Stephen got on a broadcast and told why. He's like, I said it 3 years that it's time for Max to go. I think we've reached our pinnacle together. And when you want to go to the next level, you have to make some changes. And, when Stephen came on, he wasn't the head guy. It was Skip Bayless.
Skip Bayless, yeah.
Skip Bayless. And when he came on, that show went from marginal to number one for the 4 years he was on with Skip Bayless. Then when Skip left, they've been number one for the last 5 years. But the ratings are starting to drop, and he's going, it may be time to do something new with Max. He ain't going nowhere. Matter of fact, they added more shows to him. And I think Stephen A. right now is the highest paid broadcaster in sports right now. But I looked at this and I said, this is normally the other side of the coin for us. This is normally somebody saying, hey, I think we could grow better without one of the brothers. And so there's a kudos to him for being able to look at where his show is going and predict this is what can make us better, and then having the strength, the power to say, and this is what I want done, and they do it. Versus, a lot of times you start making noise like that, it gets all up in the newspaper. Disgruntled Stephen A. is causing problems for ESPN and Max Kellerman. None of that came out. You just heard Max saying, yeah, this is my last show. So ESPN must be completely and totally behind this move and, supporting Stephen to the ceiling. So what do you guys think about this move and what's going on?
Well, let me just say this. Number one, I am a fan of the show. I probably watch and listen to First Take as regularly as I possibly can. So I watched it this week when I watched it when Max Kellerman announced it was his last show. I watched it this week without Max Kellerman, and it's going to take some getting used to for me, because I thought Max Kellerman, unlike Paul Pierce, I thought he was outstanding at what he did. Right. Now, the original agreement with Stephen A. and First Take was for him to do 3 years, and he wound up doing 5. Right. Stephen A. said, that he thought that, like what you said, the Max Kellerman thing was getting a little stale, and they had to spice it up a little bit. And this week he had different people come on all week long that he went toe to toe with, and they kind of act like he was the heavyweight champ, and people was coming in trying to knock him out. Right. I thought Max Kellerman brought a different perspective, an interesting perspective. I thought him being white allowed somebody white to say stuff about white folks that only white, somebody like him could say without it sounding, a certain way. He told the truth about the racism and the discrimination and so on and so forth. And I thought that was refreshing for a TV show. And I thought it was actually courageous for a European American male to actually tell the truth about some of this stuff, even though he knew that it might get him kicked out of the club. So, I hated to see him go. I wish him well. I'm quite sure he's going to land on his feet somewhere, because like I said, verbally, he was outstanding. He was good at what he did. He understood all of the sports. He really is a boxing guy, but he understood all of the sports, and he had all of his detail, and he did his homework. And I thought him and Stephen A. was a great combination. I'm going to be honest with you. I personally didn't enjoy the show as much this week without Max Kellerman on it. It could be just, I'm older. So when you get older, you don't embrace change as much as you do when you're younger. Right. So maybe I just got to get used to this new format. But I missed him this week, and I enjoyed, and I always look forward to what his perspective was on any particular topic that they were discussing in any sports area. And I thought he brought a very unique angle to it. So I'm going to miss Max Kellerman, but Stephen A. is right. Sometimes, you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them.
Right.
Yeah, I think that the timing of it is a little, kind of suspect. I too thought Max Kellerman was pretty cool. I didn't necessarily watch the show a whole bunch. Matter of fact, most of the time I watched it was, on replay on YouTube after, something had just happened or whatever, just to kind of get, their sparring perspective, on it. I think, Max, I like the yin and the yang that Will talked about, the black and the white. I mean, we live in America, and black and white issues, color still colors just about everything that goes on, including, but not limited to, the world of sports. And the attributes that Max Kellerman brought to the game, number one, I thought he was a grade A commentator. He knew his stuff, knew also how to articulate it in such a way that the viewer, you know what I'm saying? That the viewer could understand the perspective. And I didn't agree with everything that he said, but he had a perspective. Another thing I appreciated about him was that he didn't shrink back from Stephen A. Stephen A is an outsized personality. He can come, a little bit slick or whatever. Max wasn't scared. Let him say his little piece. Okay, you finished? Now, this is what I think about it. And he didn't always have to kowtow or agree. I think that some of the headlines, I think that might be a little bit, puffed up a little bit. I don't know if Stephen A has that kind of juice where he can just dictate the entire roster. Over the past, I'll say 3 to 5 years, ESPN, I think, has been bleeding revenue. They've been kicking jokers to the curb a lot, but it does say that Stephen A has at least some love at ESPN, given all of the opportunities that he has, both with the radio show as well as, the TV show and all the other sidebar assignments that he is doing. Max Kellerman, I believe, will have his own show. I think I've heard something about that coming up, maybe starting this upcoming week or very, very soon. So it's not necessarily like he's being kicked to the curb, more so than being reshuffled. I don't know that there is another person that can come on and bring the same kind of chemistry, at least on air chemistry. We don't know what went on behind closed doors or whatever, similar to a basketball team or a sports team on the field. Those jokers are winning championships, but in the locker room, they're at each other's throats. That could be the situation here too. But it'll be interesting to see if this calculated gamble is able to pay off or if it will be a dud. I will say, though, that Stephen A is the main attraction to the show, whoever the co-hosts are. And Molly, is pretty face on the show and all this kind of stuff. But Stephen A, I think, drives it. So hopefully they can get something that is as entertaining as well as informative as what they've had. I was surprised by the move. I think the timing of it, right in the crux of what's going on with the football season, baseball pennant race, kind of heating up, and just, a month or two away from the start of the NBA season, was a little questionable. But we'll see how it rolls out moving forward.
For me, I think the chemistry that they had was better than any duo. It was definitely better than him and Skip Bayless's chemistry. I thought, like you said, the way that they could verbally spar with each other, whether it be civil or uncivil, I think still allowed both of them to just. Max Kellerman shined better than I thought he would, coming from boxing to all the sports. He did a whole lot better than I thought he would. I think he did a great job of balancing Steve. And there's sometimes he would call Steve on the carpet, bruh. And then there's a few things that he said that made people, especially African Americans, during that whole Black Lives Matter thing, that made them go, Max, you get a brother card more than Steve does.
Yeah, he might be an ally.
Right. And so
he's definitely invited to the barbecue, that's for sure.
Yeah, and he's not bringing potato salad with raisins in it.
Or stuffing.
Right. None of those things will be had by Max Kellerman. He knows. But I do think, because one of the things Stephen A said was Max is not going to be falling short. They've already got some other things in the works for Max Kellerman. And so I do think now it's like, okay, who are you going to partner with Max? Because he's such a great personality that I think that partnering with him could be something else. Hey, Will, listen.
Hey, can I say one thing about that before we move on?
Yeah.
If you rewind the tape, it was Skip Bayless and Stephen A, correct?
Right.
Skip Bayless, for some odd reason, I'd say he got rid of Stephen A. Stephen A landed on his feet and wound up rising to a higher plateau. Now,
No.
Stephen A,
Skip Bayless went to a different network. He's with
Yeah.
Fox Sports.
yeah, but I'm saying he didn't, they weren't partners anymore.
Right.
So when they went their separate ways, I thought that was the beginning of Stephen A becoming the superstar and he's a superstar in this. Make no doubt about it. The superstar that he's the LeBron James of this kind of stuff.
Right.
So he became that after his separation from Skip Bayless. It's going to be interesting to see if Max Kellerman can make the same type of ascend in the same way that Stephen A did after the separation. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see. I know we all, I think I can speak on behalf of all of us. We all pulling for Max Kellerman. We wish him well.
Right. Hey, I'm going to let you close with this, Will. The radio audience don't know what you have on.
Oh.
Let them know what you rocking and why you rocking it.
Okay. As you know, I always wear Bucks gear. Every show we've done, except one, I've wore Bucks gear. I wore some NBA All-Star gear one time. But today I'm wearing the Dallas Wings in honor of Enrique Ogbowale, who's from Milwaukee, Divine Savior High School, went to high school with my daughter Peyton. I've been watching her career and supporting her career since she was a little girl. They have a big game tonight against New York Liberty. And if they win this game, it gives them a very good chance of making it to the WNBA playoffs. So Enrique and Wings, go, 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 go. And I just want to be a big supporter. And, everybody needs support. And Enrique is a great young lady from a great family. So go Wings, go Enrique.
Yeah, for me, I'm like, anytime Milwaukee is shining, let's shine the light on Milwaukee. So
yeah.
I'm excited for her, and I'm excited for the Wings and what they're doing. And her career has just been on the ascend since she got into the league.
Yeah.
So this year she won the WNBA All-Star MVP.
Yes.
Just doing some amazing things. So
yeah. Last year she led the league in scoring.
Yeah.
And so she was first team all WNBA. So she's representing herself, her family, and Milwaukee very well.
I do not think she should have been left off the Olympics, but injuries could happen, and maybe she'll make it next. She'll definitely going to make it in 2025. She's definitely going to make it. But
yeah, for sure.
But listen, thank you everybody for tuning in. Another great show had by us. Thank you for being here at the #1 faith-based sports talk show in the entire world, Into His Courts. I want y'all to meet us this Saturday at the Miller High Life Theater, where we will be there live doing the show. And I'm telling you, it's going to be absolutely amazing. Into His Courts will be at the Keeping It 100 Men's Conference, 17th and 18th of September. I want you to be there. It's going to be absolutely bananas. Until next, you can sign up at www.worldoutreachbtc or 414-962-0600. Again, 414-962-0600. Until next week, have an amazing week. Peace.